Today we're taking yet another deep dive into DARPA and its wild projects. Now we all know DARPA for giving us HARP and some insane directed energy weapons, and if you want to learn more about them, just check out my previous video. Today, however, I want to talk about projects that simply do not receive enough attention, even though they've likely affected the lives of millions of people across the world. And I want to start things off with this project called Advanced Plant Technologies, or APT. Now, I just want to show you guys what DARPA's own website has to say about this project. The Advanced Plant Technologies program seeks to develop plants capable of serving as next-generation, persistent, ground-based sensor technologies to protect deployed troops and the homeland by detecting and reporting on chemical, biological, radiological, and explosive CBRNE threats. Look, if you're part of this community, I'm sure you're already seeing all the red flags in this statement. But the website further explains that these plants need to be very resilient and energy independent so they could easily be deployed on a large scale in a conflict zone. And even though these plants are definitely being used for surveillance, the people at DARPA want us to know that they still maintain their plant characteristics so they can fit into an environment. So basically, they are, or likely were, developing surveillance sensors that look just like ordinary plants, but can easily keep an eye on a large area. Now, we've already seen companies planting a large number of bioengineered plants across the USA.
Why? Well, because living carbon bioengineered it so that it not only grows faster, it also captures more carbon. Recent Microsoft news means that a ton of land that used to be for mining is now going to be restored and full of beautiful trees, capturing carbon and sequestering all that bad stuff.
There's even an Australian company that has drones that can plant 40,000 seeds in a single day.
Each of our drones can plant over 40,000 seed pods per day, and they fly autonomously.
The scale of what we're going to do is one which is going to re-green our Earth. And the scale we're talking about is tens of billions of trees every year.
The drones, which are 8 feet in diameter, are capable of carrying 57 pounds worth of pucks and flying 8 to 18 minutes at a time.
So you can understand if DARPA has already developed this plant technology, they can have millions of such sensors all around us and we would never even know. Now, of course, DARPA assures us that so far any research on these plants is being done in closed facilities, but they also make it clear they will perform tests on U.S. soil later under the watchful eyes of the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service. Now, if you think plant surveillance systems are crazy, you haven't heard about the BRICS program yet. BRICS stands for the Biological Robustness in Complex Settings, but what does that even mean? Well, once again, I'm going to give DARPA a chance to scare the life out of you with their description of this program. In their own words, this program aims to transform engineered microbial biosystems into reliable, cost-effective strategic resources for the Department of Defense, enabling future applications in the areas of intelligence, readiness, and force protection. In very simple terms, they're developing ways to create microbial systems that can perform DoD functions. Now, I've already shared with you how DARPA has been developing very small particles that can get into your bloodstream and take over your nervous system. And this project is based on magnetoelectric nanoparticles known as MENPs that can travel through your bloodstream, permeate your brain, and read individual neurons' signals in a way that can be picked up by a specialized helmet. So basically, they can just inject you with these particles and they'll go straight to your brain and start emitting signals. And currently it's reported that you need a specialized helmet to read these signals.
Small robotic units, controllable robotic units at the nanoscale, and that these too can be aerosolized to create a nanoswarm, such a level that their presence is almost impossible to detect, and as such the attribution becomes exceedingly difficult to demonstrate.
Well, for the BRICS program, they are focused on intelligence gathering through these ultra-small systems that can be sprayed with ease. I wonder why people are scared to death of planes spraying unknown objects into our skies. Now, once again, they promise to use it safely and also make a vow that all the research will be done in a lab until, of course, DoD decides to deploy these systems. So I guess there's no reason to worry about anything at all, is there? I mean, it's not like our country was just enveloped in a crazy fog that looked nothing like fog.
All right, y'all, I got a Surefire flashlight for Christmas, and this will give you a good look. You can't see the fog here, but check this out.
Now, so far, we've talked about projects that look bad even on the surface, but I think their projects related to AI are probably the scariest. You see, more than a decade ago, DARPA was not happy with the developments in the semiconductor industry, so they started a program called StarNet with companies like Intel, Raytheon, and IBM. And the goal of this program was to start a tech revolution by developing top-tier computer chips. Now, they were so serious about it that they even shoved $194 million into phase 6 of this program. But I don't think they succeeded because they soon started another program called Perfect. And this time they handed millions of dollars to a company called NVIDIA to develop the best computer chips in the world. I think we can safely say they succeeded this time around because NVIDIA is now the biggest chip maker in the world, and their CEO keeps telling people to work hard like he did.
AI darling NVIDIA is now the world's most valuable company. NVIDIA dethroned Microsoft.
NVIDIA's rise was super quick.
Record highs, record closes for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ as NVIDIA hits a record of its own.
I was fortunate that I grew up with my parents providing a condition for us to be successful on the one hand, but there were plenty of opportunities for setbacks and suffering.
Now, I'm pretty sure he won't want anyone to know the kind of relationship his company had with DARPA, because if anyone does find out, they certainly will not be allowed to start yet another project called Stargate under the watchful eye of the U.S. government.
The first data centers are actually under construction in Texas already, and we'll be turning them over to Sam to start training their next model. The data center we already built, it was the largest computer ever built. The data center we're building will surpass it and be the largest computer ever built, which enables this AI, which will allow personalized medicine. This is going to touch all of us. All of our cancers, cancer tumors, little fragments of those tumors float around in your blood. So you can do early cancer detection. If you can do it using AI, you can do early cancer detection with a blood test. And using AI to look at the blood test, you can find the cancers that are actually seriously threatening the person. So we can, again, cancer diagnosis using AI has the promise of just being a simple blood test. Then beyond that, once we gene sequence that cancer tumor, you can then vaccinate the person, design a vaccine for every individual person to vaccinate them against that cancer.
Now look, I'm happy to report that this insane project has faced a lot of setbacks so far. However, I think you can see it has DARPA written all over it, and that's why people did not want our president to support it. And I think he actually listened to the people, because lately he hasn't said much about this $500 billion project. Now, we're going to continue with the trend of giving projects insane nicknames because the next DARPA program is called TNT. This stands for Targeted Neuroplasticity Training, which is a fancy way of saying we're going to train our soldiers in such a way that their entire brain chemistry changes over time. They're actually talking about creating soldiers that act just like Jason Bourne. Their body and mind are trained to perform a particular function, and they can easily be manipulated with the help of certain signals. Look, in this country, respectfully, we do have a history of veterans doing things that make no sense whatsoever.
Matthew Livelsberger and his partner Tim Kelly, both Green Berets, appeared on the Ultimate Soldier Challenge 12 years ago on the History Channel. They not only won, it wasn't even close.
Both of the subjects served at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. What we do know about that is it's a very large military base, and we have no record that they served in the same unit or even at the same years at Fort Bragg, something that continues to remain under investigation.
What are the odds of some of these veterans being part of a program like this one? If you know anything about the crazy things the CIA and DoD have done over the years, you know the odds are pretty high. Now, next up, I want to talk about how DARPA created these search engines and their algorithms. And the first thing you need to understand is that the internet was pretty much created by DARPA.
DARPA was involved in the development of the internet and of things like pattern recognition, but the government has funded many studies.
The internet was created by the American military in order to manage the American empire. It was created by DARPA in the 1960s in order to digitize and be able to quickly share within the military all of the social science research on foreign populations who were posing insurgency.
The internet started out in 1964 as a project through DARPA, and it was never really designed to be commercialized. Once the government and these other organizations realized how powerful it was, then they wanted to redo it with all the tech censorship, and which is a reason to have the decentralized internet. But a lot of these projects are a way to try to monetize something that they didn't monetize in the first place because it was never designed to be monetized.
This, of course, is a topic that deserves its very own video, so if you'd like us to explore it further, let me know in the comments. However, right now I want to talk about a project called MemeX, which has basically started to create new search interfaces and algorithms. Now, this is a very old project, so I think we can safely say their fingerprints are likely on every search engine that was developed in the early days of the internet. That, of course, includes Google as well. Now, Google's algorithm has been criticized for a lot of crazy things in the past.
Elon had posted, Elon basically showed if you were to Google Donald Trump about a week ago, all you see is Kamala. That's all you see is Kamala. It's crazy. Google was really trying to push her.
So Google is really crooked. It's horrible. When they had the word assassination up, because there was a big moment a few weeks ago where I got whacked. I got whacked, and whether it's me or anybody else, it was a terrible thing. Terrible thing for our country. It was terrible for everything. And when you put up the word assassination, it went to Lincoln. It went to many other people, many of whom I didn't even know there was an attempted assassination. The only one it didn't have was Trump. Think of it. And when you put up the word assassination, it also sent you to Kamala. And people were really angry at it. Look, something wrong with Google. I don't know if it's the people running it inside or the smaller people, so to speak, the people that are actually doing the nuts and bolts. I doubt it. It's got to come from the top. And it's so illegitimate. They have to do something about it. And I mean, the market speaks. Everybody should maybe just go off Google, not use it. There are so many other things. Watch your show instead. But there are so many things. Now, Mark Zuckerberg called me, and he apologized.
But something that most people don't know is that Regina Dugan, who was the first female director of DARPA, left her job in 2012 and started working for Google. And during her time at the company, she created a team called ATAP, which was focused on using novel and innovative technologies to develop revolutionary projects. The team is behind projects that connected our phones to GPS and also gave us clothes with sensors. However, what's interesting is that she left Google and started working with Facebook, which was likely started by DARPA as well. So I think by now you're starting to see why I think DARPA is by far the most dangerous organization in the entire world. They are everywhere, and I can't possibly discuss all of their projects in a couple of videos. But the goal today was to give you an idea of how these agencies have penetrated the world around us and why we need to be vigilant at all times. I want to present something you may have never seen before. Truly must-see data on gold. I call this the breakout moment for gold in charts. Here's the big picture. During the gold bull market in the 1970s, there were over 200 all-time highs. In the 2000s, we saw a little over 100. But in the current bull market, only 74 new all-time highs have happened so far. That suggests plenty of room to run. Gold has climbed from just $255 an ounce in 2001 to today's levels a 1,233% increase over the last 2 decades, and yet the companies behind the gold, the miners, the explorers, the developers, they haven't even come close to matching that performance. Why? Because the gold mining industry is in a full-blown crisis. From 2010 to 2025, exploration budgets have flatlined or declined. From 1990 to 2023, we saw 350 deposits discovered, totaling 2.9 billion ounces. But get this, only 29 of those were found after 2010 and none since 2016. That's right, no major discoveries in nearly a decade. Production is stagnating. Supply is projected to fall 17% by the year 2030, and existing mines are being depleted faster than they're being replaced. This underinvestment is setting up a potential supply crunch that could fuel the next major move in gold. I'm extremely bullish, and Wall Street might be even more aggressive than I am. Now, while gold itself has risen about 75% since 2011, the GDXJ index, which tracks junior gold miners, has actually dropped 63%. But now we're seeing serious signs of life. After more than a decade of quiet, M&A activity is back. Just last month, hedge fund legend John Paulson agreed to acquire 50% of the massive, undeveloped Donlin gold deposit in Alaska for $1 billion. That leads me straight to today's sponsor, AXCP Ventures, ticker symbol GARLF. AXCP was launched specifically to capitalize on distressed conditions in the gold industry. The company holds over 5.57 million ounces of measured and indicated resources and nearly 0.5 million ounces inferred. And yet, they're trading at only $5 per ounce, while peers are being valued at $40 to $60 per ounce. Folks, that's up to 700% undervalued. And get this, insiders are buying heavily. In Q1 of 2025, over $1.2 million worth of stock was bought by management. Co-founder Mario Vetro purchased shares nearly every day in the last week of April. 240,000 shares in total. Tyron Breitenbach, the other co-founder, grabbed another 50,000. That's the kind of insider conviction that's hard to ignore. Their flagship asset is the Converse project in Nevada's Battle Mountain Trend, one of the top gold-producing regions in the world, responsible for 75% of U.S. gold production. Their updated mineral resource estimate was published in October of 2024, and they just launched a new drill program in March 2025. They're also fully funded with around $10 million in cash. The team running AXCP has been involved in discoveries totaling over 20 million ounces of gold in previous ventures. Their strategy is simple: drill, de-risk, exit. And right now, while peers are trading at $49 per ounce on average, AXCP is sitting at just $5 an ounce. This setup is rare, and that's why I'm paying close attention. Start researching AXCP Ventures today, US ticker symbol GARLF. So with that in mind, I want you guys to tell me what you think about today's video. Do you think we already have those creepy plants all around us? Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you on the next one.